Welcome to the Shield Sports Desk. I'm Chris Quanon-Schultz. The Valparaiso University men's basketball team followed up on a fourth-place Horizon League finish and a run to the conference semifinals by accepting a bid to the CollegeInsider.com postseason tournament. This gave the Crusaders one more chance to play in front of a home crowd when they invited the Iona Gales to the Athletics and Recreation Center last Wednesday for a first-round matchup in the CIT. Sophomore Ryan Brokoff drained a three-pointer in the game's first minute to put the Crusaders in front, but that would be Valpo's only lead of the contest. Iona stormed back and took an 8-0 run capped off by a tray from Sean Armand. The Gales, thanks to their great start, would eventually take a 9-point lead into halftime before the Crusaders tried to rally back in the second half, courtesy of freshman Jay Harris. A layup followed by a three-pointer cut Valpo's deficit to 45-39. However, Armand and the Gales responded, increasing their edge to 11 with just under 14 minutes to play in the game. Valpo once again clawed its way back to within 6 as Howard Little tipped in a missed jumper from Michael Rogers, although that would be as close as the Crusaders would get to Iona. The Gales would send in bomb after bomb to quell any attempt at a comeback, and Iona defeated Valpo by 8 points to earn a bye into the CIT quarterfinals. Valpo ends the season with a record of 23-12 and bids farewell to a trio of seniors, Howard Little, Corey Johnson, and Michael Rogers. The Crusader women's basketball team is also done with its season. The Crusaders and the Youngstown State Penguins tied for 9th in the regular season standings, pushing Valpo down to the number 10 seed for the Horizon League women's basketball tournament held 2 weeks ago. On March 7th, the Detroit Titans took down the Crusaders 57-50 in the tournament's opening round, ending Valpo's season and dropping its final record to 7-24 on the year. Meanwhile, the Valpo women's bowling team, which has been nearly 2 months removed from its last meet, traveled down to Nashville, Tennessee last weekend to compete at the Music City Classic hosted by Vanderbilt University. The Crusaders, ranked 11th nationally, would finish 18th in a 20-team field in their final competition of the regular season. The only possible event left for Valpo is the 2011 NCAA Championship starting on April 14th. Only 8 teams will qualify, and they will be selected next Wednesday at 3 p.m. Central Time on NCAA.com. Finally, in Crusader baseball news, Valpo looked to end an 11-game losing streak in a 3-game set this past weekend at Edwardsville, Illinois. The Crusaders lost a pair of 1-0 decisions to SIU Edwardsville and Creighton before finally stopping their skid in a rematch with SIUE. Valpo opened up the offense with 2 runs in the top of the third to take the early lead. Then catcher Robbie Robinson capped off a big rally in the 5th with a 2-run blast that increased the Valpo lead to 6. The Cougars would come close and got to within 4 runs multiple times, but it would not be enough to stop the Crusaders as Valpo stopped the slide in a 9-5 victory over SIUE. Next up for Valpo is its first taste of conference play this coming weekend. The Crusaders will kick off their Horizon League play with a 3-game series at Butler beginning on Friday. That's all from the Shield Sports Desk. I'm Chris Quanon-Schultz.
Thanks, Chris. Last week was proclaimed Severe Weather Week by Indiana Governor Mitch Daniels. For more on that story, we go to Shield Chief Meteorologist Lisa Meadows.
Outside, the snow has melted and spring is well on its way, along with the risk for severe weather. Indiana is now taking steps to make sure all citizens are prepared for the up-and-coming severe weather season. Just in time for the 21st anniversary of the largest tornado outbreak in Indiana, Governor Mitch Daniels has proclaimed this week Severe Weather Awareness Week.
I think the middle of March is perfect because in a couple of weeks, severe weather is going to become more prevalent in the area, and it's going to be a lot more dangerous. We're going to have more thunderstorms, lightning, thunder, even possible tornado here and there.
The National Weather Service worked with numerous public safety groups today to conduct a statewide test of communication systems. The National Weather Service has also provided the public with flyers describing the different roles of their offices, the media, Homeland Security, the Red Cross, and the public before, during, and after a severe weather event.
I feel like communication between the National Weather Service and other agencies such as broadcast meteorologists and people who make decisions, emergency managers, because there's actually a chat that National Weather Service offices have that allow them to communicate with broadcast meteorologists. And I know a lot of emergency managers when they're expecting severe weather, stay very in tune to the weather and call the National Weather Service all the time.
Important safety tips for each severe weather situation are also available on the National Weather Service website, along with a children's activity book provided by Homeland Security, all done in hopes that everyone in each community will do what is necessary to prepare. Valparaiso University meteorology students have been creating special severe weather tip slides just for Severe Weather Preparedness Week. In the VU Weather Studio for The Shield, I'm Lisa Meadows.
Thanks, Lisa. This week has been declared Tsunami Awareness Week by the National Weather Service, and President Obama expressed that with the recent events in Japan, the United States will be taking precautions to protect its own coastlines from tsunamis.
Well, we've had our first taste of spring here in Valparaiso.
We sure have, and we'll see if those spring temperatures continue into the future. With Storm Shield meteorologist Dan Giroux. Dan?
Thanks, guys. Unfortunately, winter's not over just yet. We do have a system that could bring us some snow Saturday night into Sunday, but we'll talk about that in just a minute. Right now, we've got this low pressure overhead, and that's what's bringing us that precipitation, but it'll be scooting off to our east for Thursday. And then by Friday, we have a high pressure that's going to build in, but that's also going to keep our winds from the north, and this high pressure is just going to sit here. So these northerly winds are going to bring us some cool temperatures for the next few days at least. Now here's some of the weather headlines. We'll have that low pressure that I just showed you move out, and then we could see some flurries associated with that. But then cold air moves in behind it, and our temperatures are going to stay below average at least through midweek of next week. So this cold spell's here to stay for just a little bit. Now tonight we drop down to a low of 30 degrees. We'll be mostly cloudy, but we could see a few flurries lingering, and tomorrow those flurries will continue early on, but then they'll taper off later in the day, and we'll get up to a high of 37 degrees. So for that 5-day forecast, unfortunately, we're only going to see one 40-degree day, and that's going to be on Saturday right here. But here's the trade-off. Saturday night into Sunday, we could see some snow, and that could accumulate. So you're going to want to stay tuned to VU TV for any updates on that. For The Shield, I'm meteorologist Dan Giroux.
Thanks, Dan. In more Valpo news, the chapel has been hard at work to fill a new position of Executive Director for Campus Ministries. For more on this appointment, we go to Shield News correspondent Mandy Rathjen.
With all the changes being made to Valpo, from the new mascot to the new brand to the master plan, it should come as no surprise that a new position for Campus Ministries has been put together. Recently, Brian Johnson was hired to be the new Executive Director for Campus Ministries, a position that came as a response to the rich and ever-growing service life on Valpo's campus. The position grew out of a task force for the campus, working to raise the importance of church and congregational relationships. Reverend Johnson, however, will not serve as one of the campus's pastors. Instead, his primary tasks will be to oversee and coordinate ministries all over campus, including the Chapel of the Resurrection, the Institute for Leadership and Service, and the Center for Church and Congregational Relationships. The Institute for Leadership and Service is a new organization which will serve as a coordinating body for service learning and volunteer programs. The Center for Church and Congregational Relations is also a new organization focused on Lutheran relations and regional churches.
It isn't as though he's an agent of change coming in to take something that's been solidly established and change it. It's that he will be coming at a time where he'll have some key roles in shaping what's just coming fully into being.
With all these new additions, not just to campus, but to the campus's ministries as well, Reverend Johnson will have plenty on his hands when he arrives on campus around June. For The Shield, I'm Mandy Rathjen.
Thanks, Mandy. The university is currently conducting a search for a new campus pastor, specifically with an ELCA affiliation. For more on that search, tune into the next week's Shield.
On St. Patrick's Day last week, the first Leprechaun Chase was held. Tryouts to become the Leprechaun were held earlier in the week, and the winner of the chase was awarded $50, similar to winning a pot of gold. The Leprechaun himself also was given $50. The chase was a brand new event on campus and was also incredibly simple. Another chase will take place this weekend on Valpo's campus. A Crusader Chase will be held this Saturday starting at 10 a.m. The event is very similar to the Amazing Race, where teams of 5 will run over campus and then complete a challenge before moving on to the next event. And for of the event, tune in to next week's Shield.
Some exciting news reached the inboxes of Valpo students immediately after spring break. For more on this news, we go to Shield correspondent Ed Tusek.
I'm here at IT Services, where behind closed doors, many of changes have been going on to your Valparaiso University OneCard. I had the opportunity to sit down with Joanne Pesavento, manager of the OneCard office.
We're really excited about the new services being brought to you this semester by the OneCard ID office. In addition to being able to charge your textbooks and course materials to your student account at the university bookstore, you'll also be able to utilize your Crusader Cash account there as well to purchase such items as Valpo apparel, gifts, books for casual reading, and a myriad of other products and accessories.
The OneCard office is also excited about the launch of the new Crusader Cash program. On Monday, March 28th, university students, faculty, and staff will be able to take their OneCard out into the Valparaiso community. They will be able to use their Crusader Cash account at such merchants as Jimmy John's, Uptown Cafe, Domino's, and Papa John's Pizza, and are continuing to offer this service to any merchants in the Valparaiso community. So look for additional merchants to come, from places to get your haircut to any convenience stores in town.
If you have an idea for a merchant, please feel free to contact the OneCard office, and we'll be able to contact that merchant for you.
The Office of Information Technology here at Valparaiso University hopes that the attributes added to the OneCard will help to strengthen relationships between the Valparaiso University community and the Valparaiso community as a whole. I'm Ed Tusek reporting for The Shield.
Thanks, Ed. That's all from this week's Shield. Come back next week for the latest Valpo news. I'm Justin Thompson-Gee.
And I'm Brendan Kinney. Have a great night, Valpo.